Hello, welcome to Nondualify, a cosmic travel agency broadcast. And today we are going to be talking about a journey called Finding Your Inner Compass. And I'm Happy Bear.
And I'm Celebrating Owl.
And let's talk about what it is. What is this journey? Who's it for? How does it unfold? And, well, in a nutshell, what is this journey?
Well, I find that while I use many metaphors to point to the truth and to our true nature as consciousness, I find that perhaps one of the simplest, most effective metaphors or symbols is that of a compass. Because a compass always points north, and very similarly, we always know the truth. Whether we tell ourselves that we don't know it or it doesn't exist, it does exist within us, and we always know it. So I think it's a good metaphor or a symbol to speak of non-duality. And another reason why the journey is called Finding Your Inner Compass is that one of the most powerful words for me is the word truth. I think it's even a better pointer towards non-dual awareness than something like love, which can be interpreted in many ways. But truth is very, very singular. It points to very simple questions that we can ask from ourselves, like, is this really true? Where is this coming from? Is this coming from truth? Is this true for me? So, and once we get clear and get clarity on the fact that we always know the truth, our lives already clear up to a huge extent. So, yeah, the Finding Your Inner Compass and the major word associated with the journey is truth.
Yeah, that makes sense. Many of us can feel a bit lost in this hectic world nowadays and looking for direction and looking for happiness and looking for meaning and looking for somehow find the inner peace or whatever one might call. So truth is one of the elements. How does one get to know truth?
That's an excellent question. So we must first discern what it is we would like to know the truth about. And of course there is there could be a quest for truth in the field of science, for example, and you find scientific factual answers and you call them the truth. But this inner quest for truth, it really relates to one specific question. Who am I really? Am I this body-mind? What is this awareness? Is awareness going to end when the body-mind dissolves? This is the topic we want to know the truth of. And I would also say the answer is not delivered to us in a neat sentence. Like, you don't get a golden box which opens with a magical key and then there is the scripture of truth and you go, oh yes, I finally, truth was delivered to me. No, the non-dual truth is rather experienced, moment to moment. And to find the question to this, am I a separate consciousness or a body-mind? Is consciousness going to end when the body-mind ends? There is only really one place to look for the truth, the here and now, which is the only place there ever really is. So, in short, we look at our experience here and now rather like a scientist looks at different phenomenal objects, makes notes, and then tries to make conclusions. So it's rather a similar process, but the material we are always investigating is right here in the present moment. Because that's really ultimately the entire reality shares this present moment. So yeah, it's an investigation into here and now.
Yeah, so totally different than just learning an idealism or like conceptual thing or set of guidelines or rules.
Yes, yes, very different. I would say that this quest for inner truth may involve also exploration of certain philosophies, but at the core center of it is the here and now that is experienced that we are most interested in.
Okay. So is there something, if it's with finding your inner compass, we are looking for the truth and embodied experience of truth, is there something contrary to it? Like, what is there a lie we live, or are there false beliefs?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we could say that the light of truth dissolves false beliefs. So it's like this, truth is like this supreme material. And when any lesser material comes into contact with the supreme material, it dissolves into the supreme material. This is the process of spiritual alchemy that, if understood correctly, that is what spiritual alchemy is.
Yeah, like turning lead into gold.
Yes,
like
yes.
egoic mind into...
Yes, into freedom or whatever word. But this is the basic spiritual alchemy, and so the false belief, well, we can approach this on at least, I think, 3 different levels. The third and easiest level is perhaps the level where we believe that I should have more money, I should have more sex, he shouldn't have said those things to me yesterday, there should be a different president of a country. In other words, at perhaps at the third, the most pragmatic level, there are ordinary beliefs, hundreds of them, that are in conflict with reality. And they create mental worlds of their own. And so when we examine ourselves, these beliefs start to dissolve. So that's the first, I think, or the third, depending how you look at it. Then I'd say there are these fundamental core beliefs beliefs like death is bad, suffering is meaningless, I need to survive, life is about survival, life should be easy. These kind of core beliefs that a huge majority of people attach to without ever identifying that they are holding a core belief like death is bad. But if you look at the media, you can see the underlying assumption could be articulated, death is bad. Yeah, you can, so there are these cultural core beliefs, that's like the second basket. And then the final destination is questions that directly involve consciousness and the nature of reality. Who am I? And if one sees clearly that we are consciousness, indivisible, imperishable, timeless, whatever words you want to use, then also all of these, it's like all of the string of these beliefs start to fall, because you, at the deepest level, you start to see that death is not really a problem. It's a question of how we identify. Let's say somebody close to you dies. We feel a great amount of sadness. Our dog dies. We feel a moderate amount of sadness. A tree dies, we are like, well, it was a nice tree, but we don't really feel sadness. But when the leaves in the tree die, we bathe in death. We are like, ooh, yes, the autumn comes, you know, there's this absolute celebration in death. So, for example, when we investigate our nature, we start to see death, for example, as a relative phenomena. And it changes a huge amount of the lesser beliefs and clears the mind quite a bit.
So, if we take it to like really pragmatic daily level, how does this finding your inner compass or living from the truth change your life or affect your life? Does it? Does it make you a superhuman? Does it make you able to manifest millions of dollars of money? Does it make you all-knowing? Can you levitate, read people's minds?
I have at least not yet achieved any level in levitation or mind reading, but I will let you know if that happens. But as to the superhuman aspect, on how people would ordinarily understand superhuman, I would say absolutely not. But on another level, it is kind of superhuman that when you pick up the vacuum cleaner, a task that has been in the past absolutely dreadful for you, and suddenly the entire event syncs with the sort of truth of the universe. It's I would say ordinary life becomes sacred because you've investigated all the necessary aspects and you found that you have this inner compass that points to truth, love and beauty. And so then that light wants somehow to extend itself into your life circumstances. and it deeply impacts the kind of hobbies and activities you take, the kind of relationships you nourish, how your relationships unfold. It's a very dramatic difference that when you live in freedom and you don't require anything from other people for your happiness, this is clear to you. It's not just a concept. I mean, it's literally no one has to congratulate you, no one has to do anything for you, and you'll still feel happy, content. It has an incredible effect on relationships because people somehow, even normal people who aren't in any way interested in spirituality, they somehow trust the space that is within you. Because on some level we always recognize one who is in peace. And one who is living truth. And one who is living truth is not someone who preaches. Like, ooh, I have found the non-dual truth. Now, you lesser beings, listen to me. It's
so
not
judging is not fun.
no. But yeah. What was the question?
I guess it was inquiry into how does this affect
the daily life. I think the effects are radical. I think it takes, there is no way to know how long the non-dual understanding takes to integrate into one's life. I don't know that. I don't have the answers for that. But I can say that once it starts to, well, in my case, I just problem by problem dissolved. And it was like I didn't do anything. I just, one day I saw that, well, some time ago I would have bought this big case of beer. And then I have absolutely no desire to do that. What do I really like? I would like maybe some kale or salmon or something like that, and it's like this, wow, a really big change must have happened. But so I actually want to eat healthy food instead of buy that case of beer. But it's impossible to kind of say when it happened. It was no big decision, or actually all decisions happen when they happen. You don't really, because the one thing when you have a really good compass, the map becomes, I don't want to say it's unnecessary, no, but the main guiding force is the living present moment, and your entire being is calibrated as the whole cosmos, because it becomes, through self-inquiry and other methods, it becomes more and more clear to you that you are not separate from the force that creates the planets, the stars, your thoughts, everything in this earth, everything is a part of it. So you must, if there is something infinite, you must be that infinity. Otherwise it would not be infinite. So you explore this, and this is a very, I think, a very helpful metaphor, this inner compass. And I think this this 3-week journey is one very valid way to look at it. But there are, of course, dozens of others. But however you put it, and it's actually very easy to stay motivated. Sometimes people ask me how I've practiced these things or investigated my real nature for maybe 10 years. Sometimes people ask, how do you stay motivated? It has never been a problem. I mean, it's never a problem to stay motivated, because what is unfolding is just so much better than what used to be. So there is no question of because it's not like an arduous effort. If there is a period where you read a lot and study a lot and don't do much else, fine, but it's because you enjoy it, not because you have to do anything.
Yeah, and actually now would be a good point. Like, how did you end up sitting here now doing these guided journeys. In a, I'd say, nutshell, what's the story of Celebrating Owl?
Well, to put it in very short terms, I lived very foolishly. I got myself into great trouble. I lost all my money. I also lost almost all of my self-esteem. I felt really bad for a while. Then having lost all my money, I had to go to a social welfare office to get money because I live in a civilized country like Finland. So when you get unemployed, you don't have to rob anyone. No, you go to an office building. And sitting in that social welfare office building, I had this thought, now I am nothing. And I loved being nothing. And since that glimpse, my life has taken a more harmonious turn, and I've, I don't want to go into more detail about it now, but it was that one moment that allowed me to glimpse the truth, and as a result, I lost the previous happiness hypothesis, which was something like, it takes time to build a house, it takes time to start a family, it takes time to study a profession. It must take time to build happiness. I never maybe thought it in these terms, but the hypothesis was something like that. But then at the social welfare office, I was like, wow, what is this uncaused joy? Are things as shitty as they were before? Yes, they were. Nothing has changed. There is no money in my bank account. But yet everything had changed. I glimpsed that uncaused joy. And when that happens, the previous happiness hypothesis goes into the trash bin. You can never really believe it. I mean, you may have years where you let me continue in this arduous pursuit of happiness, but it's not right. It's not really there anymore. The motivation. Something has profoundly changed. And yeah.
So when was this incident, and what has kind of happened in between?
Well, it was 2015, so it's coming up 10 years now. Well, Well, it's not that I've been on an official path, but if I had to say what is my sort of tradition, or I would say it is Jnana Yoga, the yoga of understanding. So, and my teacher Francis Lucille also teaches mainly this Jnana Yoga. So, I read various spiritual books, and I was more and more drawn into these, what are usually known as kind of the direct path teachers like Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramana Maharshi and Eckhart Tolle and also Byron Katie, and then I followed Rupert Spira, and then finally I had I felt the sort of inner call to go meet Rupert's teacher Francis Lucille, and that was in July 2024. And when I came back, I just had this compelling drive to start talking about non-duality and doing something on this area.
Yeah. Okay, but how about the logistics of the journey? What does it include? How does it unfold? How do you guide it?
So the key word is simplicity. I've always been super lazy in terms of many exercises and journaling and stuff like that. So I made this journey very like its creator. So it has 3 sessions on truth, love, and beauty. Those are the core elements of the inner compass: truth, love, and beauty. So They are about 20-minute sessions. I think the first one is a bit longer and the second and the third ones are a bit shorter. There's also a weekly exercise, which is very simple. It's like this one prompt relating to truth, love, or beauty. So it's something super simple that you can apply in every encounter that you in life that you remember it. So something very simple, doesn't need any sort of real implementation. And then there is a simple exercise which allows us to see that it's really time for the busy egoic mind to take a trip to Bahamas and start drinking mojitos in the beach, and it can retire and it can allow the intelligence of life to take over. There's no need for the personal identity to try to do anything, because it cannot do anything to awareness. It is something that appears, it is an activity that appears in awareness, not our essential core nature. So, very simple, very evocative. It's not that much about the topics like truth, love, and beauty. They are more like these doorways. I enter, you are invited to enter, and I always like to say that because all the content is obviously unscripted, it's not planned. So there will be these pauses between the sentences. So do not let this trouble you. Be invited by the spaces between the words. It's not really about the words. It's what they evoke.
Yeah, like creating a space. Yeah. So it's one weekly session and an experiment.
Yeah.
And then meditative practice you can do.
Yeah, you can do it like once or every day or 3 times a day. It's all fine as long as you enjoy it. Like I sometimes say, if it ain't fun, run.
Yeah, I can so see this as being a doorway or gateway to this deep, awesome silence.
Yeah.
And it's whether it's like 2 hours of talking or 15 minutes of talking, kinda.
Yeah, and I don't think this is I wouldn't call this a beginner's journey, because I do dismiss the reality of the separate self and directly
it's a biggie.
And answer from explain from consciousness. But I would say it's a very simple, not very intense journey. That it's quite I would say it's a really good first journey to explore the teachings of the celebrating owl. It will give you a good taste of it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Well, one thing that sometimes comes up is that my wife, for example, she says, I really admire that piece of yours, but I could never do that work of 10 years you've done. And that's an illusion. The present moment is all there ever is. The 10 years is a story. It's a concept. I've enjoyed it. Of course, there have been difficult moments, but every month, or at least every quarter, I've been able to say my life has improved. There's more joy, there's more peace, there's more happiness, there's more fulfillment, there's more exciting adventures, everything starts transforming, everything gets done easier. So it's not a problem. I don't know if the full journey takes 5 years or 10 years or 40 years. Who cares? It's not about that. If you truly, truly love the truth, and you recognize that fact, You're already there. The rest is just like a roller coaster, you know. It moves by itself, and there are these, you know, there are a bit scary, you know, twists and turns there, because the roller coaster that goes like, meh, it's not really fun. So that's why there's, you know, events there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this has been really interesting conversation, and if you there watching this find yourself kind of interested in this kind of a journey, we have some more information below the video about the journey, and we warmly invite you to explore with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.